Hey, what's up, guys? So, I was able to get a win yesterday. So I'm at 1-1, and I'm going against Lj2play. And so, let's take a look at his stats. This is Lj2play, and here are my stats. So I didn't change my defense. We're going to try this one last time just to kind of get a feel for how these teams work and what I may try to keep the same or what I'll change going into the next season. And this is what my opponent has on defense. So I'm going to put together some attacks here, guys. We'll see how we can try to make this work. Since this is the last trial of the season, I figured I'd give the Cabal Ultimate Zemo a shot against this Black Knight Spider Societies just to see if they could actually get the win. And the thing is you're hoping to get a crit. Now, you can see the vulnerables get out there, and especially on the Black Knight, and they actually stay. But that's not quite enough, so you need the crit. I don't get a crit there. Okay, and so I said that's a problem. And so I'm switching targets. I'm like, well, do I try to ability block the POV? Because usually I'm thinking Peter's the problem. I go for the Peter, and there's no crit again. And so that's really what the Cabal team needs. Now, perhaps Kane can get a crit. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a tune that comes into the game that can get a crit that's fast. I don't know. Maybe we actually have a tune in the game that can get a crit. At the end of the day, it's clear that you'd have to get a crit, and for this particular counter to work with Cabal, you'd have to ability block the POW so it just doesn't come in and wipe out your team. So that's a tall order, and like I said, we might get a tune in the game that can do that in the future. This, once again, was just an experiment to see how it goes, because I figured I could get through the counters without using Cabal, and it doesn't really matter if I win or lose this. I'll still stay in M2. I'll still stay in the top 250. So it's like, well, just give this a shot and see how it goes. Clearly, Cabal is not working here, and so in order for it to have a chance, we're going to need a tune that can come in, crit, and then another tune that can actually come in and put the ability block on POW. But this was just something to try out to see, and I'm thinking, so now I can go in with my Secret Defenders Eternals and just clean up. And that was the plan after I had thought about sacking this. It's just that I was thinking about using Cabal on the Orcas, and I said, I don't think I'll need to, because it's small enough to where I can use New Warriors. Now, the problem is still you get stuck behind the Black Knight, and you have to use the Robbie's ult here. The hope is to get Robbie going a bit so that Photon can start getting her passive to assist on Robbie's attacks. So we're off the Black Knight. We're able to get over, put the blind on the 3 in the corner. And so from here, it just plays as normal, because I have Icarus alive, I have Cersei alive. They weren't able to kill anyone. And once those two get their ults in, the Spider Society is so weakened that when you go here, and I don't think it matters who you target with the Robbie, it just sets them up for, really it's the Photon right there to eliminate the team. And so this, like I said, this was just an experiment. I knew I was going to have to double tap no matter what I was going to do. It's the main thing is I wanted to save my Superior 6 for his Illuminati, and then that way I would have my Illuminati Odin for his Mephisto scroll. And so that's the plan. I hadn't done this in a while, and I thought about changing the Green Goblin to Raider. I said, well, maybe I don't need to, because I think it's going to come down to Old Man Logan. I did expect my team to be able to do or live longer, because when I had gone against this before, and it was last season, they did. The problem is the Illuminati had not been developed the way they are now, because we got 3 diamonds on Hank, 3 diamonds on the whole team, really, except Captain Britain, and that makes them just much more of a threat for Superior 6. And so when you do this counter, you must have Logan, and you're going to have a strong Logan in comparison to Illuminati. But the attacks look good. I think having the Green Goblin as Raider Striker, if he was Raider, there'd be more vulnerables out there, that would help. But at the end of the day, you want to have your Old Man Logan, I think, in one corner, and hopefully, because it seems like some attacks are going in on the other side. Maybe that has something to do with Vulture on the other side. He gets a chance to live. As you see here, it looks like I'm very much in control, but it doesn't take long for Illuminati to wipe out my Superior 6, and then it's really coming down to just Old Man Logan. And I think in the original counter when that happened, even our Superior 6s weren't built as strong, and so in some cases, that's why Old Man Logan was necessary. I thought here I had control enough to finish it out with at least the 3 tunes, because you can see the damage Old Man Logan is doing. But when you have a Shuri, that's a 3-diamond Shuri, it's to let you know that that's not for sure. And this is another reason why I want to put a 1-diamond Old Man Logan, because it kind of gives the advantage and brings Old Man Logan back into that OP status. Even perhaps to get 2 diamonds Old Man Logan to make him the superior tune when it comes to battles like this. And so now I can go in with Illuminati Odin. And I was debating on Striker, but I said, let's just try this out as Raider, because I think the first time and the only one time I went against this, of course, my Odin was a Striker. Let's go in. We'll go in Raider, and we'll see how this goes. My Illuminati is stronger, but you can see that the Annihilators are huge now with 2 and 3 diamonds on them. And so this turns out to be more of a challenge than I thought, particularly the Gladiator, because he's so tanky. And so as I was attacking into him, I said, well, I'm not doing much to him now, so maybe when I get a chance, I need to switch targets. So I played around, tried to see where I could switch, and it turned out that at some point I was able to get over to the Gore. And perhaps I shouldn't have been as concerned about the Gore as you see this play out, because the Gladiator is a huge threat. Thanos is a threat, they're all a threat. I don't think you can stop Thanos from doing what he's going to do when they're this big. So I think you got to make a choice as when we're talking about the Annihilators. If you're going to go after, continue to go after the Gladiator, or if you're going to try to focus on the Gore. And I think that's just a preference as you see how this plays out as to which one can do the most damage to your Illuminati. My Odin was very much in danger. And when he did a special, I didn't get as much heal as I was hoping for from him. But clearly, when he does a special, it puts him in a position where you're in a much better position to win a match as crucial as this one is. This team is just really, when you put this together, it's a really hard team to beat. And so I'm thinking in retrospect, you see I'm going in on the Gore. I probably should have switched targets back to the Gladiator, because Gladiator is on full health. And so, and Gore is not. And so I'm still willing away at the Gore thinking, hey, let's just get Gore out of there. But at this point, I think I probably should have switched. And you see when Thanos does his ult, my team survives. Well, he did his passive and then he does his ult. My team survives and Odin is putting in the work. But the Gladiator still has a lot of health. And my hope is I could get to Mephisto before he ults, but the way this turn meter is working and the way the turn order is working, I'm not able to. And I think that's how it plays out. So Odin survives, and so I'm like, okay, well, we'll get the Mephisto out of there. And I wasn't as concerned about the Gladiator because you see where his health is at the time. And had I been chipping away at him, he probably would have died right here. But he didn't. He just had a sliver of health, and so I'm not able to kill him. He's got the death proofs. That move right there wiped out my team. And I think it's very important to understand that's just we're sleeping sometimes on Gladiator as we're looking at these other tunes and what they're capable of doing. And we got to remind ourselves, once we start going against 2 and 3 diamond Gladiators, he could possibly be the biggest threat on the Annihilators. And we got to get back into making sure we get rid of him. And perhaps we need to get rid of him first. And that's my thought in a battle as this one was. And so here I've done the new Warriors into the Orcus, and I think I've done 1.3, 1.2, 1.3 punch-ups. So I wasn't as concerned. The thing is, I think in this one, the Omega Sentinel is much stronger than the ones I've gone against in the past. Well, I shouldn't say that. Much stronger than the ones I've gone against when they were the huge punch-ups. I've gone against some 5 mil Orcuses, and my new Warriors won't work on them alone. I'll try to figure a counter work the counter with the Zemo in there and see if that can be perfected. But you see here, this positioning keeps his Sentinel safe. And so when she gets to go, my thought is like, oh, Lady Deathstrike's a threat. We got to focus on Scientist Supreme. But she gets to go, and she really hurts the team. And so we got to be careful, because that right there with a stronger Mega Sentinel could really put your team in jeopardy. And as we know, if we lose the Gwenpool, we're not able to get the charges for Deathpool. And then here, because Scientist Supreme was so strong, I wanted to make sure she was out of the picture. That probably wouldn't have happened if that Omega Sentinel was stronger and had taken out my Gwenpool. And so that's just something to stay conscious of, because most people are very reluctant to put any more gear into their new warriors, but I think it can prove to be valuable, at least if you take the main 3 to G19. And so this is a counter you guys have seen me do a lot. I think it's a very safe counter when you have APOC in there. It just turns out that sometimes we can't afford to have APOC in there. In this case, I was able to, and so I think you just want to go in, you want to put that ability block on Rogue so you don't have too many problems out of her. And then what I like to do is I like to go right in on Nightcrawler, slow that trio there, because they usually do put the dorm next to the road. And so now what I want to do is I actually want to try to stun the Nightcrawler, just slow him down a little bit more so there's no chance of him coming in speeding up the X-Men. So after that, I'm going to switch over to the Forge. But ideally, in this situation, it's about chipping them down as much as you can, because you're going to Falcon Punch the Forge. So if you can find a way to chip down some of the other ones, and that's why I go on a Nightcrawler, like maybe I can chip them down a bit. I want to put the target on Rogue just in case I can push her into stealth, and then that way I can move over to the Forge with no problem. And so you see I get rid of the Forge, and so at this point it's not too much to worry about. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to kill the Dorm and the Rogue with this. I do. And I wasn't able to kill the Nightcrawler, the Gambit. Gambit was close, but he had enough health to survive. Not that I was really focusing on him much. But this is still pretty much easy to finish off at this point because you got an APOC in here. And so this is my hope that the Tangled Web could work. And perhaps with the Pegasus 2, Tangled Web 2, it could work. But I forgot I need to have Echo in there to stop the assist. I said, oh boy. And so I had taken Echo to G19, so I wasn't so worried about that. What I was more concerned with is as the Night Stalkers are getting more, they're building the team up more, can these old tunes survive? And so especially when Man-Thing comes out, this could be difficult. You may need an APOC here. You may need some of your stronger tunes. You may need a scroll here. I have no idea how we're going to really get through this yet. But clearly, my positioning was bad. And perhaps I should have just put Iron Man in the corner as I usually do. Definitely not put the Kestrel and the Weaver next to each other, because they both could have been dead there. And I would just have to back out and do this counter over. I still considered backing out doing this counter over. And I wasn't quite sure what I would use. I said, well, this is just all experiment. Let's just play it out. Let's just see what Weaver can do, because now it's up to Weaver. I do have Iron Man in there. He can do a little bit. And I did take him to G19 because as I'm starting to see, I'm going to be using him more probably in Crucible against teams like this, especially the Night Stalkers and different versions of, if I'm taking Kestrel in there. Like once again, I think it's going to come down to positioning, and I think left to right, if you have the Iron Man, and then probably you're going to need to put your Echo next to your Iron Man, because, and hope that she lives, because you're going to need to have some separation between your Kestrel and your Weaver, and then perhaps even have Weaver in the middle, and then your 99, and then your Kestrel on the end. At the end of the day, you're seeing how this is playing out. The blinds were lasting. I took a risk, and my charges on Weaver are gone. And so when Moon Knight comes in, who I think is very underrated, you got to keep him blinded or you got to keep him stunned. And so that blind was not there. He wiped out my team. And that's okay. I mean, I was thinking about, okay, you do have a lot of tunes left. You should be able to clear this out with 2 or 3 attempts if you need to, because this is the last go-around. It's like, just clear it out. And so I'm thinking, well, we'll go in with big time. and maybe we'll get some assists. We'll start with a special. We're going to go into docking because this team goes stealth. He'll speed up. And I said, well, let's just try hive mind. Now, the only problem with this setup is that my Carnage is still in teal gear. And I'm thinking perhaps as time goes on and looking at how this team could be useful on offense, the hive mind that is, I'm going to have to take Carnage to G19 and actually put some purple gear on him, some purple ISOs, because he could be clutch in certain situations, and try to make him as strong as we can make him, just like I did Echo. But you see how this is going. So my team is getting the assists. They're just not getting the damage. Carnage is gone. I was hoping that by stacking the other side, he would have a chance to live. He didn't. They took him out. And so I was a little concerned going in because the war was still there. And now you can see it's like, well, I'm going to try to get this Moon Knight down, and then I'll focus on the Blade. I was able to get Blade out, but if we have a one diamond Blade out there, this could be much harder. And if we have a man thing that's really big and we can't get around the man thing, this could be another serious problem. Fortunately, the team is strong enough as it is. And you got to remember that Blade is a permakill on his attacks, so Carnage is not coming back. So it's just coming down to me having enough power in my hive mind to finish this out.
Student